Skyota Marketplace. Please make your appearances.
Good morning, Your Honor. Rachel Dooley, on behalf of the City of Miami, as well as Assistant City Attorney Dominique Gibbs. Good morning.
Good morning, Your Honor. Alex Orlovsky on behalf of defendant Skyota Marketplace, and I'm here with the principal, Bill Fuller.
Welcome.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, so I scheduled this to figure out when we're going to have a hearing, because I don't have time for a hearing today, and whether we need a hearing. Let me start with the one question that was bothering me as I read your motion, Ms. Dooley.
Okay.
I don't read that provision of the inspection of the zoning code as requiring anything to be locked down. So I thought maybe there was something you could point me to that interprets it that way, but just going in a plain reading, I don't see why it says containers have to be passive.
There is further supplement to provide to that, which would be testimony you would hear from the building department for the unsafe structure cases that also exist on the property that are based upon the containers being there. The initial code case that was filed in May of 2017 for the containers being there. And pursuant to that.
I didn't see any reference to any of that in your motion. There's already been a prior proceeding?
No, administrative proceedings.
Oh, okay.
Administrative proceedings,
I
not
didn't see any of that.
injunctive proceedings.
Okay, so 3.6.3G.
Yeah, I brought copies of those and the.
Well, you quoted them, so what I was reading was what you quoted.
Yes. So for purposes of the violation under G, is they have equipment on the property and you can't just store equipment on the property. And that's,
So
it has to be,
well, let's put in the record what it reads. It reads, inoperable vehicles and other inoperable recreational watercraft or equipment shall be stored only in storage facilities or other approved places where they are completely concealed from public view.
yes.
Like literally nothing I read in there that talks about things having to be fastened.
Well, the equipment needs to be stored or fastened. And if I didn't make that clear in my motion, I apologize.
Well, your motion makes it clear that your complaint is that it's not fastened to the ground, it's not secured.
Or stored in some way, it's just been left out there. It's just
So
sitting
what
there.
equipment? Because the only thing I saw is that these are shipping containers. The shipping container itself, you're not saying has to be stored somewhere either.
Well, it's not a shipping container.
What is it?
These are not, these were at one point containers that have been cut into pieces and then refastened to,
I've seen them. I mean,
Right.
I've been by there, so I know
Right,
that these
it's
are
not a-
shipping containers that are now used as kiosks.
that they're, well, they're not used for anything yet, but they are,
Right now, Your Honor, yes.
right,
okay.
right.
It's a construction site.
Okay, so, what they've done is they took actual containers and they cut them into pieces. And if anything's wrong, anybody can please interrupt.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that. And they then tried to, solidify them as these mini sort of container kiosks, what we would call certain pieces of equipment. I mean, it's what they have out there. The city also has, other cases pending, and possibly should have added that to my emergency motion as well. The current violation for the work without the permit, having the containers, and the fact that they're unsafe structures. And that may have been my error.
Isn't there an unsafe structure board or agency or something in the city?
Yes,
So why is this coming to me?
because we're not required to go through that if we do not choose to do so.
So-
Under the city, under Florida
So only
statute,
plaintiffs are required, only non-city parties are required to exhaust administrative remedies? You don't have to? It's a new
that's
area of
correct.
the law for me.
Yes,
Okay.
so if I can provide to you, and I already did provide earlier to council, and these are, it's going to be section 2-820 of the city code, entitled non-exclusive remedy, if I may quote, as well as Florida statute 16230, I just highlighted that portion. Yes, we, from the city, the provisions of 2-820, which were cited by defense counsel, are not the exclusive remedies and means for enforcement. And under 162.30, county or municipality may enforce any violation of a county or municipal code or ordinance by filing a civil action in the same manner as instituting the civil action.
You've convinced me. I have jurisdiction.
Okay.
Okay, so now, what do I look to in trying to make a decision whether you're likely to succeed that will establish that these, I don't
know, there's not like a word for them.
These
I don't know if they're a
structures.
kiosk,
Whatever they are,
Yeah,
these
whatever.
structures, what do I look to see if they are violating the code or not? What code am I gonna apply? Because I don't think 3.63G is it.
Well-
At least not for an injunction. I mean, it's not clear enough to me that they would be in violation of that, even if I assume all the facts in their favor.
The other facts that we would bring forward, and which I provided in cases today, and I know that council came on it yesterday, so I don't know how prepared he would be to move forward on it, is also the unsafe structure case involving these containers, which was filed in, I can't remember, I'm gonna say maybe February.
Filed where?
Well, an administrative case.
Okay, where's
So-
that ruling?
Under the city administration, under the unsafe structure, they opened up a case notifying the property owner that the kiosks were unsafe.
And was there a ruling on that? Did it go in front of a board?
Yes. Has it gone? Let me just check. Has that gone to the unsafe structure test? I don't think so. Containers. I'm just asking Renee Diaz. He's our chief of unsafe structure.
So the reason you're bringing that to my attention is that you're gonna say they were on notice that there was an issue with these containers.
That's correct, that they are unsafe. That would be another issue why it would be an emergency. And also, as brought up, and even with the response that they provided, there are certain things that are required to be on these kiosk containers, whatever they are, that have not been done. They've just stored them there since May of last year. They've just been sitting on this property with nothing being done, which can, after a lot of notices, a lot of city cases open, to be clear, with regards to problems on the property, they still remain in the same or actually worse condition than they were from over a year ago. Nothing's been done.
And I see the notice that was sent, you weren't sure the date, but February, March.
I don't know that I have a copy of that. I can provide you with a printout that shows the date it was cited. I did not bring that notice.
Okay. All right. Mr. Orlovsky, what would you like to say?
Good morning, Your Honor. There's a couple things I'd like to add. First, procedurally, my client has been working with the city of Miami, and there's an open building permit on this property to correct these issues. We have plans that have been approved by the city. There's pending parallel proceedings in front of the Unsafe Structure Board and the Code Enforcement Board on this exact same issue. This morning we learned that the city was going to pull our building permit, but that I just got at 7:50 this morning, so I'm not prepared to talk about that. The bigger issue here, Your Honor, is this is a case of selective enforcement. I don't know if Your Honor had a chance to read the response that I filed last night and delivered. I have another copy.
Sorry. I have it, but I haven't had a chance to read
If you
it.
turn to just...
No, I have it.
Okay. What I turned to, there was a blog called the Crespo blog that pretty much delineated all of the issues, and then both the Herald and the Times, the Herald and the Miami New Times went into this issue. There are these containers all over the city of Miami. The city of Miami has not, to my knowledge, and they can correct me if I'm wrong, has not filed emergency injunctions on anyone else except for my client. This is a case of selective enforcement. There are some background issues that we need to develop with testimony regarding this that the court needs to know about if we're going to move forward today, or it sounds like we're going to move forward at a later time regarding this issue. But this is not an emergency issue. This is an issue that's been pending for 6 months, and the city itself approved, may I approach, Your Honor?
Sure.
Approved the building permit that would fix the issues that they're not complaining about. The building permit does not expire until October 14th. This is a property that is not open to the public.
Does anybody have pictures of all this?
Yes, I do.
Because apparently I must have something different in my mind of what I've seen.
I have black and white, Your Honor, and Ms. Woolley has the
Yeah,
color.
I did, I think we got, you can ignore, this is, we saved the pretty color ones for you. And I have another set.
Yeah, these are the ones I've seen. That's why I called them kiosks. And they
Yes,
were
sir.
empty the last time I saw it. It's been many months since I've been by, but.
They're not
And
currently
here
being used.
was, and I can pass some more to you, these are the ones that were taken earlier this week. Similar.
Okay. I cut you off. Go ahead. Mr.
No problem, Your Honor. As I was saying, this is a case of selective enforcement. The city has not filed any other emergency injunctions against anyone else. We believe that one of the city commissioners is selectively targeting my client, Bill Fuller, based on information that we've received and that we developed with testimony in front of the court. depending how the court wants to handle this hearing, we can proceed on the issues, we can take testimony.
No, I'm not taking any testimony today. I have another emergency city case starting
Yes,
at 11.
I noticed that.
And I have a city appeal at 3.
Okay, Your Honor.
Wow,
So,
there you go.
The Coconut Grove,
You need to,
I'm sorry
theater.
we're making you so happy.
Yeah.
buy a Powerball ticket today, Your Honor, you're the triple winner.
This was the unsafe structure.
Okay, from February 9th.
Yeah, if I may approach, this was just a listing of them, and if you can read it, the opening date for that unsafe structure was February 9th.
so I guess I know the first thing you're going to tell me, but other than the arrival of hurricane season, what has changed and why is this an emergency now?
It's a continuing and ongoing situation, and to answer the allegation of selective enforcement, you will see there are certain containers that are illegally around the city. Those are full-size, massive containers. Most of those properties have been cited. We have in fact filed injunctions against properties that have other issues as well as those containers to get those things removed. Furthermore, we did file an injunction within the past year, I'm going to say calendar year, against a property where they had halved a container and just put it on a piece of property and started selling food out of it. And that was on a property also owned by Mr. Fuller, but nonetheless, to say that when we find these halved containers, that we don't move forward when we're found out is not, in fact, correct. And when it comes to the larger containers, the actual sea containers, those which are extremely heavy, the likelihood of those being picked up and blown apart is very much nil compared to these modified containers in which they've completely destroyed the structural integrity. They cut them, they put wood in them, and then they sort of glue them back, put them back together, whether they weld them, but nonetheless, we're talking about a much smaller feature. In order for it to be safe, they have to have concrete slabs on the top, they have to be anchored into the bottom. The main issue here is simply this, is that when and if it's okay for them to put these container kiosks in pursuant to the permit, they may do so, but they may not use this construction site as storage for this, what they're going to use. That's the issue, and even under the Florida Building Code, I can't have a building site and bring all my stuff out there, and the elevator things and everything else, and have it not be secure. So they just need to secure the site. It's not secure. That's the main thrust of the city's issue. It's, is that they need to be secured, and since they haven't been fastened to the ground in any fashion, although they've had the permit for months, they have not built the foundation that's required, nor have they put the concrete slabs on the top that's required.
Mr. Orlovsky says they have that their permit doesn't expire till
Right.
October 14th. Why shouldn't I give them till October 14th?
That's right. Because, and here's why, because they're storing what is now an equipment. It's not a kiosk yet, because it's nothing, it's not attached to anything. It's some piece of equipment that they're going to eventually put out there. But on no construction site are people just allowed to store all of their materials till they put them in. They have to bring them in as they go along. And until that's done, they have to wait to bring these on site. You wouldn't bring in all your roofing materials until you put up your slab and your walls. You don't store that on site.
Your Honor,
How much time do you need to get these things secured? Or removed, I suppose.
October 14th, Your Honor. I mean, we're actively, the city, the containers were there when the city approved the permits. They haven't gone anywhere for these 6 months, so this is not like a new emergency. And they also, this morning, just removed the licensing. They're trying to pull the building permit. So I need to resolve that issue, but we didn't have them removed by October 14th.
Okay. So, Ms. Dooley, am I correct in looking at your motion and saying that it is not verified?
The emergency motion,
Yeah. The
was
motion
there
for
not a
injunctive relief?
affidavit attached to it?
That's what I'm looking for, and I don't see one.
There should have been.
And it doesn't
so-
say it's verified.
Okay,
So that's going to make my life a lot easier
yes,
today.
it is.
Your motion's denied.
Thank you.
Without prejudice at this time, it's not verified. You all divide that however you need to divide it, take your pictures back. If you do refile the motion, I'll put you on my non-jury trial calendar for October, and then we'll see where we are.
Thank you very
May
much.
I provide testimony in court to verify the allegations?
Not for today, because it's not an evidentiary hearing.
Okay. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Have a good day.
draft an order right now, Your Honor.
Yeah, that's
We're
fine.
here for the next
I'll be
one.
back. I'll be
I
in
don't know,
chambers
what's the
this
next
week.
one?
Thank you, Your Honor.
Draco Royal suing the city of Miami.
Against who?
City of Miami for a strong mayor.
Oh, he's got that one too? He just filed that yesterday, or day before yesterday.